shot at outplaying your opponents or beating them to a punch in the way.
Yeah, and that actually favors players that play in, like, I don't want to call them teams, for example, but yeah, I mean, I guess that is probably the best way to call these players. If you have a circle of friends who are all very, very competitive and play at the highest levels, like, for example, at the World Championships, then you're going to be able to get a leg up on the competition that just kind of tends to be a Lone Ranger. And, speaking of Lone Rangers, we do tend to have one person who, at least in previous years, kind of considered himself that, and that was John Roberts II.
Yeah. So these are two players who I would consider ahead of the curve for the most part. We have Zakary Krekeler on the left, who took second place at the Europe International Championships this year with the Silvally Registeel metal deck that was really just out of nowhere using Crimson Invasion cards to counter those Gardevoir decks that were so popular at the time. And he actually finished 18th in championship points, so he barely missed the cutoff for advancing straight to day 2, and now he's having to fight through day 1. So far, doing pretty well, 3-0. And going up against John Roberts II, who is always looking for a rogue deck to play. And this season, he has been on one deck all year, and that is Vikavolt Tapu Bulu.
Yeah, we've seen John tend to favor this kind of deck in the past. Of course, the national champion for the United States in playing a Kling Kling deck, which is also a Stage 2 deck, which actually worked very, very similar to this Vikavolt Tapu Bulu deck. And so we tend to see that he goes for more of a big power, swing big and take potentially long turns to set up. But once you do, you're not going to give up prizes on your opponent. As we see the prizes right away, beast energy here for Zakary, as Zakary is playing the Buzzwole GX Lycanroc deck.
Yeah, he also had one Octillery prize, which is bad for him because he only plays one.
Oh, geez. So those are some pretty bad prizes actually for Zakary, and we'll have to see if John repays the favor here as he now starts to set his prizes. Mm-hmm. The A-Rare Candy, and truth be told, no.
One Vikavolt, but nothing too
shabby,
bad.
Yeah. So definitely a big advantage here for John as far as the prizes are concerned, as two big one-ofs here for Zakary are prized. So we'll have to see if Zakary can reach them or if he'll avoid having to need them, as we are setting up between these two players, Zakary Krekeler, one of two players to, the second highest seeded player to miss day 2 out of North America, as this was just such an intense race for the North American top 16, and Zakary narrowly missed the cut there to have a day 2 invite. So now he's forced to play it out, and he's doing very well for himself at 3-0, but now he's facing John Roberts, a U.S. national champion. So he's definitely got some tough competition ahead of him as he goes first. Starts with the Buzzwole.
Sorry, just one note. These two players are both from the St. Louis area, so they actually know each other pretty well. So they have probably even play tested together a little bit. So it's probably funny for them that they travel to Nashville, play in the World Championships, play against people from all over the world, people from Japan, and then you play against somebody who lives 5 minutes away from you.
Sure. Now they are both 3-0, so it's not the worst thing in the world to play potentially a friend at 3-0, but still, obviously one of them will have to have a much tougher road to a day 2 invite by the end of this match. Now Zakary did go first, and he found a Buzzwole to match his Buzzwole in the active position, plays a strong energy, and that will likely be the end of his turn. Well, maybe not, as he does play Choice Band and Sycamore, discarding 2 energies to draw 7 new cards. Zakary still finds a Brooklet Hill. This is where he'll probably find out that he does not have an Octillery available to him, as he'll find some Remoraid's, but, well, maybe he went through that deck a little fast.
There's no time to check for prizes. You got 50 minutes, man.
All right, well, that 50-minute clock is definitely on everybody's mind, as he might not know that his Octillery is still prized. We saw him go through that deck extremely quickly. Yep. Zakary passes the turn now.
So this is not a typical Buzzwole Lycanroc deck. This is a variant we saw a little bit of leading up to the North American International Championships, but has died out a little bit. It is playing 4 of the non-GX Buzzwoles. So only two Buzzwole GX, but the focus is on these non-GX Pokemon. The goal is to use just single prize Pokemon until your opponent gets to that crucial 4 prize card threshold. Then you can do things like Sledgehammer, Beast Ring, and really take advantage of all of the Ultra Beast support.
Yeah, that's the North American International Championships version of the Buzzwole deck. And John actually just plays a couple of Pokemon, which is not bad for him, by the way. This is really about as powerful a turn one as he can get, as he's also playing a Cynthia to draw himself 6 new cards, see a rare candy in his hand, and a heavy ball to go with an Octillery and a Remoraid. Wow, what a hand.
Yeah, he really needs a second Grubbin, though. He's only got one on the bench, and if it gets knocked out next turn, he can't get that crucial Vikavolt out, and that is really the key to making his deck work. So, he's actually going to fill up his bench. That is a dangerous move.
Yeah, he goes for the double Remoraid. He wants to make sure his Octillery doesn't get knocked out, but that actually could backfire there, as now there's no difficult decision for Zakary. If Zachary's going to be able to get a knockout, he'll for sure get it on the lone Grubbin rather than what could have been the lone Remoraid.
John did use Encounter. Mew's not very often used attack. You get to search for a Pokemon and put it in your hand. So he has set himself up for next turn, but he is in a vulnerable position for sure.
All right. Well, there's a Brooklet Hill here for Zakary, as John does pass with a potentially powerful turn, but he does have one major weakness on him. Will Zakary be able to take advantage of it? Zakary, no doubt, has played against John's Vikavolt Tapu Bulu in the past, so I'm sure he knows exactly what he needs to target down. Will he have the tools available to him? It seems like it's not going to be too difficult, but he's forced a Cynthia here. No Guzma out of him.
Yep, so John can breathe in a sigh of relief here. This is kind of the one turn where he might have been in some trouble if Zakary could knock out the Grubbin, but Cynthia means that John knows his hand is safe too. Both Grubbin will not be knocked out. He'll have Rare Candy and Vikavolt for the next turn, so he's going to have a nice turn 2. Now it's going to be on Zakary to put the pressure on and kind of hope that his opponent doesn't outspeed him here. He's going to get the first knockout because he can Sledgehammer for 50 and knock out Mew, but he's going to see a flurry of energy headed his way next turn.
Well, there it is. Knockout on the Mew, as John does kind of set himself up for, well, he did do that on purpose, as now we see John just play his hand down. Whew. Plays a Vikavolt and a Rare Candy as well as an Octillery. Finds, well, the Heavy Ball will be finding him an additional Pokemon.
That Tapu Bulu.
Tapu Bulu, of course. Beautiful Heavy Ball target.
Yeah,
everything on the Tapu Bulu. He just not skipping a beat here. Abyssal Handing for 4 cards. Does not find an energy, though. Well, he had one in his hand.
Yeah, so he can Strong Charge now, get a Grass and a Lightning Energy, and attach them to his Pokemon however he wants. It's a little awkward because Tapu Bulu GX, the Nature's Judgment does 120 damage, and then you can discard all the energy to do a bunch more damage. The problem is you do 120, which is 10 short of knocking out a non-GX Buzzwole, so it's kind of a waste to discard all of your energy and only take one prize. So it looks like John is going to throw all the energy onto Mew, and he has a Fighting Fury Belt, which makes it a little harder for his opponent's non-GX Buzzwole to get to 90 damage. So this could be a swing in the game.
Okay, well, the Fighting Fury Belt is a strategy here from John, but remember, Zakary can deal quite a bit of damage.
He can also top deck Field Blower.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, Field Blower is one of the cards that's new out of these Buzzwole decks. Kind of an answer to the weakness policy, but also an answer to Fighting Fury Belt on a Mew. Go figure. Probably not what Zakary was thinking about when adding that Field Blower to his deck.
Probably not, but he'll take it.
Either way, Zakary is going to be able to easily knock out this Mew without having to find things like Diancie and an additional Strong Energy or anything like that. So that's going to be big news here for Zakary. And John will lose some energies, but because of that Vikavolt, that's not too big of a deal as long as John can keep the stream of energies coming.
Yeah, right now it's complete advantage. Zach, as long as he finds a single fighting energy this turn, he can take another knockout on this Mew. He's in a pretty good position here. He's going to go up in prize cards. There are no GX Pokemon on his field, so John can't really catch up in any way. And that's going to force John to knock out another single prize Pokemon, and that means we are in Sledgehammer territory.
Big knockout here for Zach, as he does knock out 2 consecutive Mews in the first couple of turns of the game. And now Zach only has 4 prizes remaining. John has no choice but to go down to 4 prizes himself, which means we're going to be seeing a big knockout out of Zakary. Well, maybe not, as it seems like we're seeing another Mew come down with the
he's
Super
playing
Rod.
Super Rod.
Yeah, so if he can find it.
John almost made a big mistake there. So he's playing Super Rod. He put aside the 3 cards he was going to shuffle back in. He's like, all right, here they are, and then went to shuffle his entire discard pile into his deck, and leaving the 3 cards there. That would be a much better card.
How's that for some reflexes out of the judge right there?
That just saved a game loss.
Yeah, I think if I was John, I'd be thanking the judge quite a few times right now.
Yeah,
as that just could have been a disaster. But instead, John does get to play an N, finding himself 5 new cards, and Zakary 4.
You can see Zach even stopped him too. It was a reflex from both the judge and the opponent. They're all like, no, don't do that. But we've all been there. We've all done silly things.
Nope, not me.
When you're playing with physical cards, weird stuff happens. My favorite one is when people are like deep in thought and they start shuffling their discard pile thinking it's their deck. I see that one a lot.
Yeah, all right, fine. That's been me. All right, so John not done with his turn quite yet. By the way, this could be where having that auxiliary prize could backfire on, well, maybe not backfire, but could really hurt Zakary here, as Zakary, of course, just has that lone memory, and he did get into 4.
Yep.
4 is still a healthy hand size, but it can definitely be dangerous. We've all been in that spot before where we draw 4 cards, we feel like we're probably still okay, and then we see the hand, and we just shake our heads and hope the top of our deck is kind.
Yeah, so we did see strong charge onto Tapu Bulu GX. So John is gearing up for a knockout with this Tapu Bulu. The problem here is he can either discard all of his energy, get a knockout, or Tapu Wilderness GX to get the knockout, keeping his energy. The problem is now he's in range for that Sledgehammer. So if Zakary can just find a strong energy or a beast energy, he can Sledgehammer for 180 damage thanks to all of those damage modifiers out there.
I wonder if that beast energy is still prized or if it got taken already. If it got taken, then that could definitely be a card that Zakary can find. But no, we see a strong energy right away. Yeah. With that choice banded Buzzwole already dealing 160 damage, right?
Right, with everything he's got, it's a knockout right now. He's
190,
he's getting to 180.
Yeah.
So this is going to be another strong turn for Zach. He has not missed a beat at all. He's gotten a knockout turn 1, turn 2, and now turn 3. And it's just, this is why this deck is so strong. With non-GX Pokemon, you can take quick knockouts thanks to damage boosting effects from Diancie Prism Star, Strong Energy, Choice Band. He even plays a Regirock EX to add 10 more damage. So these little 30 damage attacks add up to one-hit knockouts.
We saw the Tapu Wilderness Gambit not pay off right now. And wow, Zakary even has a B-string as well now. So additional plays available to him. Plays a Super Rod first to get a couple of fighting energies back into his deck, maybe even 3 fighting energies.
Yeah, it looks like certainly a couple fighting energy will go in, but maybe a Buzzwole GX as well.
Yeah, he does. Well, maybe just 1 fighting energy. He does play a low number of these Buzzwole GXs, so he wants to get them back in the deck as often as possible with these Super Rods.
And Zakary just has so much going for him. He's going to be able to get a one-hit knockout for 1 energy with that non-GX Buzzwole. He'll go down to 2 prize cards. And then what can John do? There's so many threats on Zachary's side. He's got the Buzzwole with 2 energy on it now, thanks to the B-string. He's got a Rockruff that looks pretty innocent sitting there, but it can evolve into Lycanroc GX, and we can see the dangerous Rogue GX finish off the game. So if you're in John's position, it almost looks impossible to win. He's going to need a lot to go his way.
Okay, this is usually the time where I start wondering if you scoop here. it seems pretty clear to me that you probably have one turn available to you if you, well, that end actually might change things quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so answer my own question, you don't scoop yet. But you definitely keep your eyes open for the first available spot where you can, because a lot of things have to go your way for the next few turns in order for you to even have a chance. Your opponent is just so far ahead, both on energy in play as well as just prizes taken, and you were forced to attack with these GX Pokemon, which just, set your opponent up for a quick victory. A Field Blower here could get rid of the Choice Band, but doesn't seem too relevant.
All right, it's going to get rid of Choice Band and Floatstone.
Use the Brooklet Hill in play.
Yeah, getting rid of the Choice Band is a little weird because it almost feels like if you're not knocking this out,
Right.
you're probably not winning.
Exactly.
But, there's some chance you can still win, but it is pretty unlikely.
And remember, a draw here is just terrible for both of these players in this tournament, as a draw might as well be a loss in this kind of a spot.
Oh, and John did not even find a Grass Energy off of that Abyssal Hand, so I don't even think he'll be able to use Nature's Judgment. He does have one more Octillery in his hand. He could Abyssal Hand one more time, but it's not looking good.
All right. Finds the Grass Energy.
Just gets the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Tapu Bulu Vikavolt deck has been around for most of this season, and it's been a very polarizing deck. A lot of people do not like it at all. And one of the reasons is it can be very inconsistent. And there we just see the game-winning beast energy for Zach. He's going to wrap this game up. But
Made it quick.
There are so many little things that can go wrong when you're playing this deck. First of all, it's a Stage 2 deck. You need to get Rare Candy Stage 2, and that's not always a given. And if you don't get that, your deck is pretty weak. Even after you do that, sometimes there are little things that come up like, oh, there's no more Grass Energy in my deck. Even though I got all my stuff out, I ran out of energy. Great. And then there's other stuff like, all right, I got turn 2 Vikavolt, I get the Strong Charge. Oh, I didn't draw Grass Energy in my hand. I can't even attack. There's other stuff like, you did everything except you didn't find a Choice Band, so you can't knock out Zoroark. So this is one of the biggest combo decks, but the problem is you need to keep going every single turn. If you ever find a turn where you don't draw Grass Energy, you have run out of Lightning Energy in your deck, you didn't find a Choice Band, so many little things can go wrong over the course of the game. But if everything works, then it's great.
Exactly. Now, it seems like the negativity is, like we're spreading a lot of negativity about this deck because we've just seen it lose in pretty dominating fashion. Even though it did get a turn to Vikavolt, it got an excellent setup, honestly. But it just doesn't have the speed to keep up with things like Buzzwole. We saw Buzzwole just take these early knockouts against these Mews without a problem at all. And that was the issue. But there is a reason why John is 3-0. Mm-hmm. And that's not only because he's an excellent player who knows how to pilot this deck better than probably anybody in the world, but also because the deck has a lot of inherent advantages with it. If your opponent doesn't have ways to knock out these Tapu Bulus, they're just going to run over the game. We saw the prizes here for Buzzwole. I didn't get a great look at him, but I didn't see anything off the top. I didn't see anything that scared me. See an Energy Recycler and Bridget's from John. Nothing too bad.
Yeah,
I'm liking these prizes so far. All right, so
yeah, the Energy Recycler could come up big later, but
sure,
he might draw it by that point.
So yeah, John just does have a lot of power to go with his deck, and we'll have to wait and see if he can actually show that power off in the second game, as he is down 1-0 against Zakary Krekeler, as Zakary looking to go 4-0 against John Roberts, one of his city mates, and both of these players just hoping to get this big win and be 2 wins away from a day 2 invite. Now, John does start this second game here going first with a Bridget on turn 1, about as good a start as he can possibly hope for, as he finds a Tapu Bulu with a Remoraid and a Grubbin. Will he find a second Grubbin? Nope, not yet.
He's got one out there.
Oh, well, never mind. Will he find a third Grubbin? No.
I hope not.
All right away, a Strong Energy on this Buzzwole, and just an end. So, not an exciting start here for Zach, but he will find himself 6 new cards. Well, obviously wants to find himself some Remoraids. In addition to that, he wants to find just more attackers, more of a setup. If he can find a Diancie, he'll be able to knock out this Grubbin on turn 1, which would be huge.
Yeah, it's a great start for John. Zach looks like he's off to a good one as well. If he can find Diancie Prism Star. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, no Pokemon, no anything here for Zach.
Well, this is how you can win with Tapu Bulu.
Well,
if he goes Rare Candy, Vikavolt, and he still needs like a switch or something, he can just blow up that Buzzwole and win the game. But
Remoraid.
That looks like none of those cards. That is not good.
Yeah, the Remoraid tried to be ambitious there and turn into a Vikavolt, but that's not going to happen as he's forced to just turn into, evolve into an Octillery here. He's trying to play his hand down as low as possible to get an Abyssal Hand, but I think he's only going to draw 2 out of it. And finds a Fighting Fury Belt and...
Field Blower.
Field Blower, yeah. No supporters. Zakary kind of bailed out here.
So, this is what you can see with the old Tapu Bulu deck. Looked like everything was great turn 1, and then turn 2, you Abyssal Hand, don't find Rare Candy Vikavolt, and, well, you pass. It is much worse than what happens in Game 1.
All right, so Max Elixir here from Zakary. He did have it in his hand. He just was missing the Pokemon to go with it. Obviously found a Pokemon now. And, yeah, Choice Band on the Buzzwole. 2 energies on this Buzzwole. We see how fast things can turn here for Zakary, thanks to things like Max Elixir and, of course, Buzzwole itself. So now Cynthia drawing 6 cards here for Zakary. Hopefully we're going to see a little bit more power out of these players, as John does not have a very powerful start, but he does have a Tapu Bulu on the bench with 2 energy attached to it. So John's game plan is pretty blatant here.
Yeah, and so far, Zakary seems to be doing all right. You know, he'll still get the first knockout in this game, take a prize card, and put the pressure on John. He is going to run into this Tapu Bulu GX next turn, but well, that's not a bad draw.
Wow.
Here's Rare Candy.
Okay, well, Rare Candy gets...
Oh, yeah, this is nice. So one of the big things John can do in this matchup is play Fighting Fury Belt on his Tapu Bulu GX. That means he can do 130 damage without having to discard energy and without having to use his GX attack. So this is a big swing in this matchup. That one card that we don't see a lot of anymore can really make a difference. Usually you see Choice Band doing 30 more damage against GXs, but against things like the non-GX Buzzwole, that Fighting Fury Bolt is going to be the difference maker.
Now, of course, John's turn is not over, even though he's getting such a powerful start going here. And now we see again Vikavolt strong charging onto that Mew in the active position. All right, let's see. John wants to attack with that Mew, not put that Tapu Bulu in harm's way, especially once he sees his opponent's benched Buzzwole with 2 energy on it. Now, if I'm Zakary, I'm obviously still looking to have a much more powerful turn on my next turn, but what kind of a setup am I going to need? I mean, of course, you're going to want Remoraid and Diancie and stuff, but are you going to try to start setting up a Buzzwole GX here?
Yes, I'm asking.
It's hard to tell. I mean, I usually have to wait until... you usually want to wait until your opponent has gone down to 4, because you don't want to give your opponent any targets to skip 4 prizes, right? You want them to go from 6 to 5 to 5 to 4. You don't want to give them an opportunity to go from 6 to 5 and then from 5 to 3. It's just a big difference. So you never want to bench a GX with this deck until your opponent gets to 4 prize cards. It looked like John tried to attach a second energy that turn. The judge did catch it, though, so we are all good there. And it looks like we are going to see the old Nature's Judgment for the knockout here, not having to discard the energy. And I think this is the best scenario for John. So you can get the first knockout, and then your opponent doesn't have access to Sledgehammer quite yet. So they can't get the bonus damage. They can't really get a one-hit knockout on Tapu Bulu. So they can hit you for a little bit. And the next turn, you just go, all right, Tapu Wilderness, heal off all the damage. Try to knock out a full HP one. So it's a really good sequence for John in the early going that could prevent Zakary from taking some prizes.
Zakary, of course, still looking to improve upon his board state here. But you're absolutely right. That's a huge, huge Tapu Wilderness there. Just really able to start threatening a snowball turn out of John if well, I mean, there is no if. There's going to be no way that this Tapu Bulu is going to be going down, especially not with that Fighting Fury built. Professor Sycamore draws Zach 7 new cards. No board whatsoever here for Zach as he finally finds some Pokemon, finds a Remoraid and the Diancie. Diancie, a turn late, but at least it's there. A couple turns late, actually.
Yeah, so there's not a lot going on for Zach here. You can Sledgehammer for 50. That's just not a good spot to be in. He actually attaches to the Remoraid, which is smart. Next turn, he can then retreat and maybe get a nice Buzzwole or Buzzwole GX turn. So it looks ugly for him right now, but he's certainly not out of it. John's just in a much better spot than he was in Game 1. And, I mean, look at how quickly that turned around after his turn 2 was awful, and then he top-decked a Rare Candy turn 3. It changed everything.
All right, John looking through his deck. What else does John need here? Just an additional Tapu Bulu for the following turn, but he has benches full. Just wants to set up the energy and nothing else, right? I can't really think of too much else that he's going to need.
Yeah, he just needs to set up more attackers at this point. Make sure he's in a spot where he's not going to run out of energy. You have to manage your resources really well with this deck, so he's doing a great job. Truly all there is to it. After you get Vikavolt out, there's not a ton to do. You just strong charge, attach energy, and attack. That's part of what makes this deck so appealing.
Definitely going to want to find that energy recycler, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's in his prizes.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can get to it eventually.
All right, Ultra Ball. Looking for an Ultra Ball target, but honestly, doesn't even need it.
Yeah, he's probably trying to play his hand down so he can Abyssal Hand for more cards and then not get hit by an N at some point. Get some bad cards out of his deck. But here we do see the Tapu Wilderness, and this is excellent play. You absorbed one hit, and then you get to heal off the damage while getting a knockout. Tapu Wilderness is one of the best GX attacks in terms of tempo and swinging the game. Being able to fully heal your Pokemon and to take a knockout at the same time is just a massive swing.
Now, that is 4 prizes now for John, right?
Yeah, he's at 4. This is the turn.
Which means we should be able to see a return knockout here from Zakary.
Yeah, he needs to find Choice Band, that or Regirock EX.
All right, he's at 170 damage with a Beast Ring.
I think he's just going to use this to look through his deck. He could potentially take 1 energy. I think taking 2 is kind of a waste. Your Buzzwole is almost certainly getting knocked out next turn, and you don't really need to use Swing Around. So he's probably just taking this opportunity to check to see what's left in his deck. And yeah, he's not even going to take an energy there. There's no point in powering up for Swing Around. You're just going to Sledgehammer.
Yeah, and of course your opponent's going to return knockout that Buzzwole.
Yeah, I can see some merit in putting 1 energy onto the Buzzwole in case your opponent Guzma's around it.
Exactly.
But Zach probably figures it's a waste. And he's actually got a Guzma in his hand. He's trying to figure out if he should play that or Sycamore and try to get the knockout here. And he's actually playing the Guzma.
Interesting. So the Guzma finds a Tapu Lele and just Sledgehammer's knocking out that Tapu Lele.
Wow.
I mean, when you don't have that extra damage, you kind of have to just make sure that you get those 2 prizes out of your opponents. Well, when you have a Sledgehammer turn, you need to abuse it as much as possible.
Yeah, I wonder if Zach looked through his deck and maybe found out there were not many choice bands. Like if you look through your deck and see, there's only 1 choice band, I'm really not very likely to get it. Maybe he's just taking the safer play and going, all right, I need to take a prize this turn. So I'm going to play this Guzma. It's worse than if I would have gotten a choice band and gotten to get a knockout here, but hey, I'll take what I can get.
John now still has so many energy in play. Just did not expect that. I expected for these. I expected for that Tapu Wilderness, honestly, to do very little. I really did. I was not surprised that he used it because, I mean, it's still the correct play, but I just expected it to just be an irrelevant thing. But he could not find the choice band or the strong energy.
Yep, so there we do see with the Fighting Fury belt, Nature's Judgment gets the knockout without having to discard And this is a huge turn for Zakary. Now we're tied at 3 prize cards apiece. He needs to get a knockout this turn. John is pretty much set up for the rest of the game. He's got 2 Tapu Bulu GX powered up. He has a Mew powered up. He's going to get knockouts every turn. So if Zakary wants to win, he needs to get a B-String and power up that Buzzwole GX right now.
Does he have a B-String in hand? I don't believe so, right?
No, he used it last turn to
Yeah.
just look through his deck. Sure, he wishes he has it now.
He does have a Max Elixir, though.
Yeah, and this is interesting because he could put that energy on Rockruff
Right.
to prepare for next turn. But it looks like, no, he's just trying to commit to getting a Buzzwole GX out.
Like, if he can still find a B-String off of his Sycamore, then he'll probably be in a winning position. But that Max Elixir definitely could have gone onto that Rockruff to set him up for the final prize
Yeah,
on
and
the following turn.
because there's a Fighting Fury Belt, he's also probably going to need a Field Blower. Otherwise, I don't know if he can get there.
Well, I see nothing. So, no B-String, no.
He's got an Octillery. He can maybe draw 1 card.
Yeah, he'd have to fill his bench up.
That's fine. Yeah, I think he can draw 2 cards off of this, so he can retreat into the
not put in
Buzzwole
energy.
GX. Yeah, attach. And Abyssal Hand. He would need to draw exactly B-String and Field Blower.
Yeah, Max Elixir is no longer going to be an option there because he's going to retreat. So it takes away the relevant cards, but he has to do this in order to be able to Abyssal Hand for maximum effort. He actually attaches onto the Rockruff, which I actually agree with. Finds the B-String on the last possible card.
But it's not enough.
Oh, yeah,
You
you're
need a
right.
Field Blower,
He
too.
needed the Field Blower.
All right, so this is still okay because he
Fighting
can...
Fury Belt, jeez.
Yeah, but it's still okay. He can do Knuckle Impact here for 180 damage. So it's not going to get a knockout here, but John has already used Tapu Wilderness GX, so he can't heal off the Tapu Bulu GX. That means if Zach finds the Field Blower next turn, he can discard the Fighting Fury Belt, get an instant knockout, and then attack for the game. So that B-String was actually huge. It kept him in this game.
Sure. Field Blower is going to be priority number 1 there for Zakary on his following turn. He does play multiples of it, so that's going to be huge for him. Now, it looks like they are stopping the game right now. We do know what the issue is going to be here.
I think so.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that this is about to happen, but you know it is what it is. I've been there before, actually.
Stop playing for a second.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's going on here is that John's deck actually has no Fighting Fury Belt in the deck list.
Yeah.
So because there's no Fighting Fury Belt in the deck list, of course John can't actually play the card in the deck, and I'm sure that was an oversight by John.
Yeah.
We've all